I think Ten Hag's. I think he's at his depth. I think he's completely at his depth.
Do you think he has to go, Ben?
I do. After the substitution, he brought Højlund on, who I thought was probably one of the best players on the pitch. To bring Martial on, who looks like he's running around, doesn't give a monkeys.
Man United fan here calling for Ten Hag to be sacked. We're going to listen to a few of these clips and some tweets and some theories. Ten Hag out, Rashford out. Is solutions currently being offered up by a very powerful, very noisy percentage of Man United fans? And I'm up for listening to this because I want the solutions at the club. I want to get your takes on it as well. Ten Hag to be sacked, Rashford out, Rashford being a big problem at the football club in terms of stopping our progression, taking us to the next level. These guys are hugely accountable for the mess that we are in. Let's take a listen to a few more before I give you my opinions. Of course, hit like buttons, people, subscribe. But I'm seeing a lot of this from people phoning into Talk Sport, a lot of pundits, a lot of journalists, a lot of Man United fans across social media. Ten Hag out, Rashford out. Give me your opinions. Listen to this next clip.
Very pressure on himself, to be honest with you. Yes, we've got everything going on with the Glazers, but actually I don't think they can be blamed. When you get a transfer, well, you have a spend of £200 million in the summer and you spend 60 million on Mason Mount, 70 million on a striker who you're subbing off after 70 minutes when you're 2-0 down and chasing the game. You're causing arguments with Jadon Sancho, which obviously is a different dispute in itself, but with the team in the position it's in, do you exclude him from the squad, or do you say, do you know what, okay, you think you're right, go and prove me wrong?
Again, both these calls, they've spoke about taking Rasmus Højlund off. I was frustrated about that. It now transpires. It was basically a directive from the medical team at Man United saying he doesn't have 90 minutes in his legs yet. We don't want to put him in the red zone. We don't want to risk injuring him. I agree. We've made this Sancho thing public. You now need to go and win. £200 million spent this summer, £385 million in total. The Glazers are not to blame. And this is typically the rhetoric that we get consistently when things start to go wrong for managers. There's an article I read that claims that Ten Hag is the worst manager at Man United since Ferguson and is the second coming of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It goes on to state that Rashford is awful. He does it all the time. He plays woeful for years, it's claimed. Still gets picked for PR. Comes to wanting a new contract, plays okay for 4 months, gets a pay rise, and reverts back to being shit again. United must most overrated player in history. The article also goes on to say, name one successful signing. I can only name one, Casemiro. He says Martinez, half a season wonder who can't complete 90 minutes. Anthony, well, no. Mount, well, I think he's injured a lot last season and never expected that he might as well be cropped. Onana needed a new goalkeeper, but 50 million on him. Rasmus might be okay, but pointless when the whole when the wide men like Rashford haven't got an assist in them. Eriksen, he's just a crap matter. So essentially attacking every signing that Ten Hag has made. And the article goes on to state that, but of course, it's the Glazers' fault. The Glazers who have allowed hundreds of millions to be spent in every single transfer window, sign players from all champions and managers. Sign players you all as Man United fans championed, and the manager you all wanted. Yes, of course, it's the Glazers' fault. So many calls, many articles, many suggestions that the Glazers are not the issue here. The manager is out of his depth. He's created his own problems. He's signed poor players. He's put trust in Marcus Rashford, who is the biggest problem player-wise at the club. I then saw a number of tweets, and this tweet here from Adam. Adam's a good guy, by the way, but he says, Rasmus Højlund, the next on the list of players who had their potential career or reputation wrecked by having to play with Marcus Rashford. I hope not. The kid looks good to me. There was a reply to this that says, very likely, especially with deluded fans, like I don't know who that person is. Højlund will be scapegoated to protect the mediocre star boy. We deserve every bit of what's going on at the moment. Same for Ten Hag. There's another tweet I saw that's gone viral that was maybe the strangest tweet that I've seen in relation to Marcus Rashford, but I want to get your take on this. It says that when Mourinho managed United, we wanted to get rid of Sanchez, Smalling, Darmian, and Young and build around Rashford, Shaw, Martial, and Greenwood. He says when Solskjaer was managing, we wanted to get rid of Pogba, Lukaku, Matic, and David De Gea and build around Rashford, Shaw, Maguire, and Bruno. When Ten Hag was managing United, we want to get rid of Casemiro and Varane, De Gea and Ronaldo, and build around Rashford, Shaw, Bruno, and Onana. He goes on to say that he is at the center of every failed manager, that is Marcus Rashford, and has thrown 2 managers under the bus. I want to stop right now because I've relayed everything that's being said at the minute, and I think there is some fair criticism in here. And I'm going to break this down into 2 parts. Firstly, Rashford. Let's break down this tweet as an example. And I understand being angry at Rashford, but are we going too far again? Is this just people almost wanting to create an equilibrium? My Pogba, my Sancho, my Martial, I felt was scapegoated by top Reds, so I'm going for somebody that they rated. Because you look at this, break this down. Nobody wanted to get rid of Alexis Sanchez under Jose Mourinho. We all believed a better manager with a better system at the time could get us the Arsenal version of Alexis Sanchez. I agree with Smalling, Darmian, and Young. It then says we wanted to build around Rashford, Shaw, Martial, and Greenwood. We definitely wanted to build around Martial and Rashford. I wouldn't disagree. Greenwood hadn't even made his debut until after Jose Mourinho. So that's line number 1. The second one that says under Solskjaer, we wanted to get rid of Pogba, Matic, De Gea, and Lukaku. We definitely wanted rid of Pogba as a collective. I personally wanted him to stay for large parts. I thought he was a brilliant player, but I will agree. A lot of people wanted him gone. Everybody wanted Lukaku out. They said he had a donkey touch. So again, I don't see how that's Rashford's fault. And then it said we wanted to build around Shaw, Rashford, Maguire, and Bruno. Again, during the Ollie era, people wanted Maguire gone and already said he was a flop. So that's another lie. It then says under Ten Hag, we wanted rid of Casemiro and Varane. Hang on a minute. There is no one that backs Rashford, who I've also seen collectively say we had to sell Varane and Casemiro last summer. Another lie. And this is what I'd say about a lot of these tweets. They are twisting the truth. This notion here that every other striker who has signed for the club since Rashford made his debut has become bad because of Rashford. Are we actually saying that Martial, Lukaku, Cavani, you can name any others you want? Are we really? I genuinely want to ask this question. Are we saying the root cause of their failure is Rashford? Are we saying the root cause of the previous failed managers is Rashford? I'm asking you that question. Are we really in a mess because of Rashford? We go on to the situation with the manager. You listen to the videos. He's out of his depth. He's created problems. You can't blame the Glazers. He signed his players. That this article, I think, encapsulates a lot of Man United's feelings. We champion the signings as fans. You're right, because we've signed a lot of quality players in the last decade who haven't replicated that. We've actually signed a lot of some players have come in and started well, but even Bruno has regressed from what he first was. But we're not saying that's on the Glazers. We're now saying the root cause of the problem, Ten Hag. He's had the money. He's bought bad players. His system doesn't work. And he's created issues with players like Sancho and Ronaldo. And that's why we are where we are. That's what I'm hearing. And I spoke about this 2 weeks ago and said this would happen. Spoke about it after the game Saturday. I'm all for this criticism. But it's when people talk about it as the root cause, I worry. There's a very simple process in life, and people don't like anyone who thinks these two are the root cause problem. I'm not trying to have a go at you. I'm passionate about my club getting better. But come on my channel, live, show your face, and we'll do the 5 whys. We will do the 5 whys. For anybody that is saying, stack the manager, we get better, Rashford is a massive problem, and if we get rid of him, we'll improve. My comeback to you is we had these problems before Ten Hag and Rashford arrived at the football club. I see them potentially as a problem. I can get on board with them being a symptom, but the root cause, I have to reject. The defending of the Glazers, the defending of the root cause problems is an issue. Now, if you're going to analyze an individual game, as I did in the space yesterday, I think it's right. I don't think we should have gone to a 4-4-2 diamond. I think Pellistri should be given an opportunity. I think the likes of Rashford and Bruno, when they have bad games, need to be dropped. I agree with all these things. I'm looking at the situation now of Onana, and I'm seeing a lot of people talk about how maybe we didn't need to make that change to our system so soon, and we should have maybe invested the money in more goal scorers. I think this is all fair criticisms in the here and now. But it's when we start to do the root cause analysis of if we get rid of X, Y, and Z, we will be better. This is where it becomes delusional. The 5 whys is a simple process, and you can see it here on the screen. And this gives you a very simplistic working example, which is problem if somebody ran through a red light, drove through a red light in their car. Then you ask 5 questions. Why did you go through the light? Because I was late for work. Now, that is where I think Man United fans are. The problem is we're not playing very well. Why? Ten Hag system, Rashford is the star boy, doesn't perform well enough. That's it. And that's where a lot of Man United fans stop. But you meant to ask 5 whys as a minimum. And the only way, by the way, this works is if the person answering is being honest. If the person answering is lying, it slows things down. So you need honesty and objectivity. So the next question is, well, why? Why were you late for work? Because I woke up late. Well, why did you wake up late? In this example, they say my alarm didn't work. Well, why didn't your alarm work? The battery was dead on my phone. I didn't charge my phone. Why? I forgot to check it. So your inability to check your phone's battery before you went to sleep is why you went for a red light. It wasn't because you were late for work. It wasn't because you woke up late. It wasn't because your alarm didn't go off. It wasn't because your battery was exhausted. The reason why you went through the red light is because you didn't check your phone. The root cause of that problem. And this is what I implore Man United fans. By the way, you won't hear this conversation on TalkSport. It's too boring for them. Rivals will be shutting this down in their droves. Man United fans who want to hate on Rashford and want to just blame this manager, they'll all have their own motivation. Some it'll be for clicks. Some it'll be because, and listen, you look at a lot of the accounts, by the way, the ones that are scapegoating people, look at their profiles and look at pictures they have. It's Jose's, Ronaldo's, Pogba's, Martial's, typically. And I get it. They're fanboys of those individuals. Their favorites were scorned at this club, so they're on the attack. I understand the mental gymnastics they go through to slam the club. I get it. But real Man United fans with a brain, and I know most of you watching have one, do the 5 whys. So even if, so go to the example, Ten Hag is the problem because he has signed bad players. Why has he been able to sign these bad players? The answer may be because he's been given too much control and power. Why has he been given too much control and power? Because the club don't have an adequate sporting director. Why don't the club have an adequate sporting director? Because the Glazers don't want the challenge that comes from one. Why don't they want the challenge that comes from one? Because they don't want their poor practices to become the sole problem at the football club. Why don't they want that? They don't want to risk the money not coming in. I'm just spitballing here. But the 5 whys are key. And until Man United fans start to address the 5 whys consistently, when you're making statements about a solution that fixes the problem. So remember what I'm saying here, and don't twist my words, please. I am not suggesting you can't criticize Ten Hag. I am not saying, but if you don't get to 13 minutes into this video, that's on you. If you're leaving your comment and leaving, it's not my fault. If you believe that dropping Rashford fixes us, Rashford's the reason all the other strikers have fouled, fair enough. But have you done the 5 whys? If you believe sacking the manager and bringing somebody in better fixes us, have you done the 5 whys? My belief is you haven't. My assumption is you haven't. And this isn't me defending Rashford or Ten Hag. It's me looking at the solutions to fix my football club. Don't be one-dimensional. Don't be the first why. Don't be basic. Don't be route 1, poor level analysis, which is all you'll get in the mainstream media. It's all you'll get from rivals. Go deeper. Now, again, if you want to criticize and talk about the game, do it. That doesn't need the 5 whys per se. If you're saying this fixes us permanently, you've got to go through a process. But by the way, every single major and successful business, sports team, university, religious institute, family uses to get onto it. Man United are a mess. Are Rashford and Ten Hag the true root cause problems? I want your views. I want your opinions. I want to know what you think about this. Hit the like and the subscribe button. Speak to you all soon. Thank you.